This is the new Volvo S90, and it's Volvo's flagship saloon, the kind of car that will compete with the BMW 5 Series, Mercedes E-Class and the Audi A6. Is right at the top of their model range. And the S90 is completely new. It's not just a facelift model, it's not just a slightly redesigned car with a different name. It is an entirely new model. Now you can buy an S90 with either two engines. You've only got a choice of two for the time being. Either a D4 or a D5, and they're both 2-litre, 4-cylinder, twin-turbo diesel engines, but they just produce slightly different power and torque. So, D4 has 190 brake horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque. The D5 has about 40 brake horsepower more and 50 foot-pounds of torque more. Another key difference is the fact that the D4 is front-wheel drive, whereas the D5 is all-wheel drive. This car is the D4, so it's the entry-level car effectively. On first impressions, this D4 engine is really quite good. It's really, really torquey, first of all. That's the main thing that sticks in my head. You put your foot down and you've just got this surge of torque. And 0 to 60 is 7.9 seconds and the top speed is 140 miles an hour. So it's not fast, but actually 7.9 to 60 for a car that's this big feels pretty sprightly. Now it has an 8-speed automatic gearbox, and what I really like about this gearbox is the fact that it always knows the right gear for the right time. It doesn't seem to get it wrong very often at all. And as well, when you put your foot down, a lot of gearboxes, particularly in diesel cars, where revving it out to the red line doesn't really do anything because you need the low down torque of the diesel and there isn't that much power higher up the rev range. What I like about this is the fact that it doesn't rev it all the way out to the red line. It changes slightly earlier, so you're always in that torque. Now Volvo reckon you'll be able to get about 64 miles per gallon in this car, and I haven't been getting that personally, but that's mainly because this is the car that I drove all the way to Geneva just a few days ago for the Geneva Motor Show, and that was 1,600, 1,700 miles, I think. I was getting about 47 miles per gallon, so nowhere near the 64 that Volvo claimed, but equally I was driving at 80, 85 miles an hour, which is the speed limit in France. So when the best speed for economy is 60 miles an hour and we're doing 80, I can completely understand why we weren't getting 64 miles per gallon. And actually, while I've been driving in the UK and driving quite a bit slower and kind of in a more relaxed pace because I'm not in a rush to make it to a motor show, I've been getting much better fuel economy. Now this isn't a sports car, of course it isn't, it's a huge great Volvo, but actually the brakes are pretty strong and stop the car quite well, and they communicate well with the gearbox. Sometimes when you drive automatic cars you don't get very good and very consistent pedal feel. You kind of don't know how much braking force you're going to get, so it just makes it a bit jerky. Whereas in this, they're good strong brakes and they communicate with the gearbox. You don't get that uncertainty when you're braking, so I quite like it. Steering is actually pretty good. It's got a really nice weight to it. Steering wheel's a good size, and you sit quite low in the car. You can get yourself into quite a comfortable driving position. But I think with the steering, it's not that communicative, so you don't know what's going on with the front tyres. And also the tyres themselves haven't got much grip to them. At least I don't feel like they've got much grip to them. In the dry, it's fine. You know, this is a very sure-footed car. You don't feel like you're going to skid off the road or anything, but just when it gets a bit damp or a bit wet, the front tyres can't always pull the line that you want them to. You just find them washing out. Suspension, it's very compliant. Of course it is. Like I said, I did 1,600 miles in this car earlier on in the week, and I didn't get out feeling really uncomfortable like I had a bad back. It's very easy to drive. It soaks up bumps really well. Now, styling-wise, I think some people are slightly divided actually, which surprises me. I really like the way this looks, at least from the front. I think it looks spot on. At the back, it's perhaps overly simple and a little bit bland, and some people have said it looks like a bit of a dad's car, which I can kind of get, because saloons sometimes can just look a bit boring, but I really like the way that particularly the front of this looks. Inside as well, at last, it's a Volvo with a new fresh interior. It feels very well made, but the main thing is they've got rid of all the buttons that used to clutter up the centre consoles on other Volvos. Everything else though, it's very well designed, very well built, but some of the things, like the dials for example, they still feel like the dials on the older Volvos. I kind of wish that they'd do something a bit more adventurous with the way the kind of the graphics kind of come up on the dials here. Now you can buy a Volvo S90 for about £33,800. This particular car, however, is more than £41,000, and that's because it's got quite a few options, like, for example, the white paint, which is £1,000, keyless entry, which is £600, it's got a reversing camera, £300 or £400, USB ports, £300, a tow bar, another £1,000. You get the picture, it's quite an expensive vehicle, this. Would I want to pay that much for it? Probably not, but I personally don't think I'd need the tinted windows. It would just make me look quite cool. I think in my head it does anyway. But USBs for £300, I would imagine that you'd get USBs included when you spend more than £30 on a car. Overall though, £30,000 in BMW 5 Series territory, in Audi A6 territory, feels like quite good value to me, and perhaps it's not going to sway that many people away from BMW 5 Series or you know, that kind of car, because I think with those, unless there's something completely different, you'll stick to what you know. But if you are looking for an alternative, it is quite a good choice. It's different, and I always appreciate things that are slightly different. It's very comfortable, it's very easy to drive, the engine's very good, and the gearbox is very good, and the interior is different to those on the competitors, so yeah, I've quite enjoyed it. And as a companion for that long drive to Geneva, it did so well. It was really, really comfortable, and as I said, it did quite well on fuel as well, so I really enjoyed my time with it.